Hi, Slytherin girlies and general savagery practitioners. I hope you're doing well. This is a very impromptu video, so I apologize. There will be minimal editing because I don't really have the time, but yeah, I thought it was really important for me to come on here and give my 2 cents. Originally, I wasn't going to make a video out of just respect to the content creator because I feel like she's already going through a hard enough time, so I don't want to like add to that by, making a think piece or something about her on the internet. But I watched her video again and I realized around the 5 minute and 25-second mark, she puts this text on the screen in very small letters detailing a very, very huge red flag that she basically decided to overlook and gloss over in the beginning of her marriage to this man who she is now divorcing because of the horrific things that she discovered he was doing to her young daughters. So, yeah, this is what did it for me. This is what made me go, like, okay, no, we need to have a conversation about this as a community. Like, this is something that needs to be discussed, as uncomfortable as it is. We don't need to talk necessarily about her case. We don't need to harp on her issue exactly right now, but this is a huge problem and like cause for concern, I feel, within the whole online coaching industry boom that has taken off during really these past 3 years. I think the pandemic had a lot to do with it. But yeah, this pretty much directly ties into what I was saying in one of my most recent video uploads about how all these coaches out here, all these self-proclaimed experts at, dating and living the soft life, etc., whether they are ill-intentioned or well-intentioned, you don't know who these people are at the end of the day, and you do not know what's going on behind the scenes. Hell, they don't know what's going on behind the scenes until it's too late, as evidenced by poor Isis's case right now. So that's her name. Let's backtrack a little bit here. So for those of you who don't know, I feel like maybe some of you follow her channel already, but this young woman's name is Isis. She has a channel called The New Trophy Wife, which is one of those hypergamy, level up, soft life, how to find a rich provider man, that type of a channel, feminine energy. And I watched her content a little bit earlier. I want to say, yeah, like earlier this year. One of her videos got recommended to me because I guess it's similar to some of the other content I was watching at the time. And I really liked her style. She has 17,000 subscribers, so not a huge follower base, but it's a substantial amount, enough for her to craft her whole brand and, business around her teachings. I don't know if she ever did coaching sessions necessarily, but I'm sure she has some sort of like paid membership or, yeah, paid platform outside of YouTube that she also collects money from her subscribers that way. So yeah, she is really well spoken. She has a great style, great sense of fashion, and I really liked her personality as well. She would always call us her trophies, basically. She would go, "Hey trophies, go trophies," in her videos. So I enjoyed watching her content, but I never took it as far as to, want a coaching session with her or anything because, again, I know that these coaches, you don't know anything about them past what they decide to put on the internet, which is often a very, very curated, meticulously crafted image of their life that they want to portray. That is not necessarily, or it's actually guaranteed not to show you 100% of the reality behind the scenes. And this is, again, sorry, I just want to make a disclaimer. This is not me dogpiling on Isis and the plight that she's going through right now. I never wished more in my life that I could be wrong, but it turns out that she married a monster, in her own words. So Again, just to backtrack a little bit, her story, if you don't know, she's, I believe, around 30 years old right now. She was a single mom when she met her now ex husband, who is 20 years her senior. And by all accounts, by all outward appearances, she is living the dream life that a lot of women in this space are aspiring to. She's made videos on this on her channel before too, about how she got engaged and all of that. I believe she has a video where she says that she basically met, dated, and married this man all within 1 year. She said that, him being an older man and her being in her leveled up state when she met him, that facilitated for him to really step into his masculine and swoop in to take care of her and her kids. And then, years later, they had a couple more babies of their own. So she had kids from a previous relationship, and then after she got married to this man, they had two kids as well. So, by all accounts, I mean, her story was the aspirational story of so many women in this space, right? This is what is touted as the ultimate goal, the ultimate prize is to get married quickly, meet a high value provider man, preferably older than you so that he has more resources and money and whatnot to give you the lifestyle that you want, get the ring quickly, and then go off and live happily ever after. But as we know, and especially as all of the older women on social media, which I don't know if I fall into that camp, I feel like I'm right in the middle. I'm kind of stuck in limbo because I'm 35, so I don't exactly classify as older. Like, I'm not Gen X, but I'm not Gen Z, so I don't know. But I'm older than ISIS, right? And we've been trying to tell you guys. We've been trying to warn you. At least the ones of us that don't have, any courses or whatnot to peddle. If something seems like it's too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. There is literally no such thing as a free lunch in this world. And I'm not even, listen, I am not perfect either. I've also in the past, felt myself getting swept up into this whole fairy tale fantasy as well. Like whenever I would hear of girls getting instant proposals or proposed within 2 weeks, or, collecting proposals from 4 or 5 different guys over a short period of time, I would think to myself, like, wow, what a flex. I wish I could say that. Um, Now, I personally am not in a rush to get married, particularly, but you guys know, like, I'm a Leo. Just coming from that purely egotistical standpoint, yeah, I'll admit that was something that I kind of fantasized at times about, being able to say, like, hey, I collected all these proposals from all these guys that they were just desperate to marry me from the moment that they saw me, right? And I would think of that as a flex. But listen, that female ego is also something that we need to be careful to keep in check. It's fun to just have our little Delulu moment for the moment, but use it for just that. Use it just for entertainment and kikiing with the girls. Don't ever get it twisted that just because you're getting all this attention from guys, or they're giving you all this money, you're getting all of these sugar daddies and wedding proposals, don't ever get it conflated that that is like proof of your high value as a woman in comparison to other women or something like that. And I'm not saying that this was ISIS's mentality around this stuff, but just to speak a little bit on my own personal reflections around the whole subject matter. Like, these dudes are crazy out here, okay? These men are capable of unspeakable things. Obviously, not every case would lead to something as extreme as what happened here with the new trophy wife and her ex husband. But by the way, I don't think I stated explicitly, but basically, I think you may have gotten the gist of the story already, is that she discovered her husband was inappropriately touching her very young daughters, both of them. So, a 2-year old and a 4-year old. These are the the new kids that she had with him after they got married. And yeah, I don't want to, tell her story for her, so I encourage you to go watch her video, which I will link below in the comments. Trigger warning though, there's going to be discussions around topics like child abuse and rape and all of that. So if you're sensitive, maybe don't watch it. But essentially, in a nutshell, that's what happened. That is the nightmare that she's dealing with now. All prayers and well wishes towards her and her children. You know, it seems like she at least has family to lean on during this time. So I just hope that she is able to get the resources that she needs for both herself and her children to start moving forward and healing from this nightmare. But I do just feel like we have to take this as, unfortunately, another cautionary tale that you don't know who these men are. They are very sophisticated, especially the older and more well traveled and seasoned that they are at life, the better that they are at concealing their true intentions or the true perverseness of their minds. That's why I cannot stress enough, okay, the importance of vigilantly vetting men during the whole dating process. You simply cannot afford to ignore any type of a red flag. I would say even yellow flags. Cut that man off immediately once you get a whiff of something amiss. I did a video in the past where I rated a bunch of, not rated, I vetted a bunch of Bumble profiles live on my channel. I will link it if any of you are interested, where I was super harsh and cutthroat and I showed you guys, like in real time, with real Bumble profiles of the men in my area. So I'm based in Tokyo, but I showed you guys exactly how I vet and I decide which guys are safe enough to, getting to know or maybe going on a first date, and which ones I cut off or unmatch with immediately. And I got pushback from some people, women even, for that video, for being too harsh, or this is a reach, sis, those types of comments. No. I'm telling you, the way somebody does one thing is the way that they do everything. For example, if a guy started to show signs of impatience and irritation at a simple, discussion or negotiation between us about when we wanted to meet or when we wanted to schedule the first date, I have met guys where they would get annoyed if I would suggest a certain time that didn't really fit in with their schedule or whatever, and I would unmatch with them based on their reaction or the behavior that they were showing me. Sorry, I feel like I'm all over the place, so I'm gonna try to be more direct to the point here. I'm talking about, there was just this one instance where, this guy wanted to pick me up at 9 p.m. because that was when he would get off work. He had his own business, so he had to work late hours. But for me, I told him that I was not really comfortable going out so late for a first date, because chances are if we started the date at 9 p.m., it would probably end at around like 12 a.m. And I just didn't want to be out that late. So he immediately started to get annoyed. And I think he said something to me like, I wish I still had the screenshot, but I think I deleted our communication. He was just like, oh, so what's the matter? You have a problem with going out late? Just getting an unnecessary attitude about something that any, like, fully functioning, emotionally stable adult would not even think about getting an attitude with. I don't know about you, but as an adult in the 21st century, whether it's a male or a female friend, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it takes a while for you guys to decide on a time and a day to meet, because everyone has their own busy schedules, right? And if you're dealing with, again, like I said, emotionally stable adults, nobody usually has a problem with taking the time and the patience that is necessary to just, decide on an optimal time for both of you. So, yeah, if a man cannot even handle that kind of an interaction with basic human decency and patience, that alone tells me all I need to know about him, which is that he is a low quality man. He doesn't make the cut for my roster. I don't need to give someone like that the benefit of the doubt or, be nice and go on the date with him anyway, even though I didn't like the way that he dealt with me through text. Even if it was even if it was an honest misinterpretation of the tone of the text, which can happen, it's still better to be safe than sorry, right? And any man who is conscious and who actually cares about your well being and your comfort, they should have the social intelligence to be able to convey that through text as well. So when I say I unmatch with these guys with the quickness, I mean like not even 1 second has to pass. I don't even open the message. The second that I get the notification and I can already catch the drift of the type of attitude or whatever that he's infusing into his response, it takes me less than 1 second to unmatch with these types of guys. So that is just one example of how I weed out the bad apples, like right from the beginning, before they have a chance to escalate their toxic behavior. I just nip it in the bud immediately and block them whenever there is even the first tiny signs of misconduct or something wrong up there. I'll give you one more example of something that I do to test them. Sorry, I'm editing this right now and I realized that I never got around to the second example. I think I'm gonna make a separate. Let me know if you want me to make a separate video on that because it does kind of tie into the whole discussion with how to spot, like, particularly a guy that may be attracted to younger women that are not age appropriate whatsoever, possibly even minors, because, if he's like in his 60s and attracted to or open to someone who is 20, then who's to say how low he's willing to go, depending on what the laws in his particular region allow for. Yeah, let me know if you want me to elaborate on that in a separate video and back to the current one. That's the thing, okay? There is no script or like manual that I can give you on how to spot a toxic or narcissistic or predatory guy. I can't just be like, oh, if he says A, B, C, or D, that means that he's no good. All of the clues that they are going to give you are going to be context specific. Most actual red flags, like the ones that fly under a lot of women's radars, most of those are context specific. And the reason that they were not caught in time is because those women lacked discernment or they never had anyone to teach them how to properly vet men. Which is why I will continue to make videos on this topic as necessary, even though it's not my favorite topic, obviously, to talk about. But I do feel like, just given, again, my Slytherin personality, I do have a particularly, like, viper sharp intuition about this kind of stuff. I'm really, really adept at reading between the lines of what men say and do, and I can sniff out a predator or a shark in the water from a mile away. Because you know what? It takes one to know one. But the difference is that obviously I wouldn't act on my instincts, but I know how to be a shark when I have to. So, yeah. Anyway, you are going to have to develop your own intuition and discernment when dealing with these men. You have to tap into your own feminine intuition or that dark feminine part of you. That's the only way that you will be able to truly protect yourself, and then later down the line, for those of you who want to have children, that protection will extend to your children as well. So, our actions have consequences, ladies. And I know that we don't always want to think about everything so seriously all the time, and it can be anxiety inducing. I understand all of that, but particularly when it comes to dealing with men, and particularly if you add children into the equation, your actions, the little yellow flags that you may choose to accept with the guy, just know that that's going to likely have a ripple effect down the line to your kids. It's like a domino effect, right? If you want to prevent that from happening, if you don't want that to happen, then you would do well to arm yourself now, okay, with the knowledge and the resources on how to A, spot a predator, and B, let's be real. If you find yourself in a situation where you're already intimately involved with said predator, you already have feelings and whatnot mixed up in the equation, that's fine. Don't beat yourself up about that, but you need to also develop the muscle to cut that shit off. Like, game over. You have to develop the stone cold ability to ignore your own emotions in the moment and just take action to disentangle yourself from whatever relationship that you may have with somebody who maybe some unsavory revelations have just come up about him. You need to be ready to drop any guy that you're dealing with at a moment's notice, is what I'm trying to say, basically. It doesn't matter how good he looked on paper. It doesn't matter if 99 of your dates went perfectly, and on the 100th date, he said something questionable about, I don't know, minors. Like, oh, maybe the age of consent should be lowered. No. The moment, I don't care how much history you have with him. I don't care how many green flags he gave you before then. The moment you see one red flag, you gotta dead that shit, okay? At any point in your interaction with a guy, at any point in the game where a red flag pops up, it automatically invalidates all the other goodwill that said guy has built up until that point. I'm so dead serious right now. Like, this is not a game. And I honestly, I commend Isis, the new trophy wife, for believing her daughter immediately when she told her what was happening, that, daddy was the one that touched me down there. I commend Isis for believing her daughter and immediately getting her kids out of that situation and herself as well as soon as possible. I commend her for that. However, from her own words, and as you can see in the screenshot of this video, there was already a huge warning sign, even like years before this all happened, right? You can see in her annotation there, she wrote that he R-worded me 4 times within the first few months of our marriage. 4, okay? Not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 times. And yes, marital RAPE is a very real thing that doesn't get talked about often enough, in my opinion, but 4 times, girl. Now, again, this is not to victim blame or throw salt on an already unbearable wound, but I just want to, again, take this opportunity to highlight how important it is to learn how to truly vet men. And not only that, but to exercise the muscle of dropping them like a hot potato the moment that they show signs of anything, okay, anything predatory towards you, towards children, or just like anger issues in general. Do not be afraid to drop these men on the spot, because as you can see in this case, the more you stay around, the more chances you give them, the more you succumb to their love bombing. Before you know it, you'll get deeper and deeper entrenched in that relationship, and it'll just get harder and harder to leave with each new layer that is formed in the relationship. Physically, mentally, psychologically, on all fronts, it's just gonna feel more and more impossible to leave. So do yourself a favor and cut ties immediately at the first sign of foul play. Not the second or the third or the fourth. Don't go back and forth. The first sign. I can see how once you've already gone through with the marriage, you've already locked in like that. I can see how someone would brainwash herself into thinking that, her newlywed husband R-wording her 4 times was not a big deal. I can see her trying to rationalize that away in her brain as not a big deal because, after all, we are husband and wife. We're supposed to be one flesh, as as decreed by the Christian religion, which she is, right? So, again, this is not me victim blaming or making excuses for her. I'm just trying to illuminate how this can be a very slippery slope, okay, when it comes to dealing with men. And this is precisely why I think it's time for us to put our big girl panties on and maybe get over this fantasy of meeting some amazing older millionaire provider guy and getting engaged and married within a month or 2 months, some crazy short period of time like that. Maybe it's time to stop once and for all glorifying this type of a trajectory. Um, yeah, this day and age, where women don't have the support of a village, their fathers, and other key figures in their life to help them vet and really evaluate a potential spouse before getting married. I don't think so. We're not about to be getting married to strangers that are like 20 years older than us with a huge power differential within 2 weeks of meeting, and then potentially having some horrible situation like this happen down the line. So, yeah, I don't really know a good way to end this video other than to say that the veil has been lifted, okay? The fantasy is over when it comes to all this hypergamy content. Not hypergamy, the concept itself, which I still very much believe in, but the content that is circulating, the certain situations and lifestyles that are being pedestalized in the zeitgeist today. I think it's time to close the chapter on that. And yeah, it's a no for me. We need to move forward with our eyes and ears open. We need to develop actual, real world applicable strategies that are applicable to the world that we live in today, the reality of dating with and dealing with men in 2024, soon to be 2025. And we need this strategy to place above all our safety and the safety of any children that may be involved in the forefront. So, yeah, no more of this white knight in shining armor dream that a lot of these coaches are selling us. We're not going to buy into that any longer. The only person that can save you is you, yourself, your wits, your strategy that you can put together, certainly with the help of other mentors and books and resources. But at the end of the day, it's up to ourselves only to make the best possible choices for ourselves and our possible future offspring. No one's going to come in and wave a magic wand and make us live happily ever after with our prince. So I hope I speak for all of us when I say that we're sending our well wishes and blessings towards Isis and her children. We know that she can get through this. Feel free to go to her channel and donate or something. I don't know if she has a GoFundMe set up, but you can give a thanks, like a little tip through YouTube on her channel. Let's keep her in our prayers and stay safe out there, ladies. Stay informed. I love you, and thank you so much for listening, as always.